My name is C.T. Weber. I'm representing the California Alliance for Retired Americans. I'm on their legislative committee, which represents the seniors of about 1 million seniors around the state. I am also the Peace and Freedom Party of California Legislative Committee chairperson. We represent basically poor people. That's where our constituency is. And, you know, I find it very difficult to believe that here we are in the richest state in the union, the 8th economic power in the world, and we have to still come back, you know, and beg, you know, for survival existence. You know, it's beyond belief. And just come back and ask for the correct thing is just seems unbelievable in this time and age. You know, programs for the poor, you know, the blind, the disabled, the crippled, you know, children, they've all been cut. IHSS has been cut. You know, these programs need to be restored. When I was doing union organizing, we was always taught, always ask for a little more than what you really expect to get. So I say, you know, let's double the wages. Obviously, that's not realistic. So just give back 10%. I know it's 7, but you get the point. 7's not enough. It's still not even keeping up with inflation. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next witness, 2 minutes or less, please. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Teresa Snowden, and I'm a home caregiver for Stockton, California. And I've been doing this since 2010, but I've actually been doing it my whole life. I'm 43. I've been doing this since I was 8 years old, growing up with my dad and going to homes and helping out there, doing community service and everything. And when I moved to Stockton, I became a home care worker and everything. And one of my clients I used to get calls from her family members saying, Teresa, my mom's going into a diabetic coma, come over. And this is at 2 o'clock, midnight in the morning, okay? I didn't get paid for that. But now, when you guys are called to work, when on your days off, you guys get paid. Why shouldn't we get our overtime? We're human, okay? And my client now, she has a brain tumor and she has the beginning of MS. I'm going to need to give her more attention instead of less attention, like Governor Brown's trying to do us. Governor Brown needs to remember who put him there. We put him there. He didn't get there himself. He needs to remember where he came from and who got him there. Because it wasn't the rich people that put him there. No, you see these faces right here? These are the people who put him there. And he needs to remember that because he used to be for us. He used to be for the people. He needs to get back to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Savon Bancy. I'm also a home care worker for San Joaquin County. I've been caring for my grandparents since I was 10, you know, and I barely got into home care in 2007. Regardless of the program or not, I would have still been taking care of my grandparents you know, from back, you know, say, from hell and back, because they are my grandparents. They will call me 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, Grandpa's not responding. So I don't even have a car. I would have to ask somebody to pick me up, take me there at my own time. And who's going to watch my kids? I'm a single mom with 3 kids. It's hard. And with 1 bedroom, $600 rent is not cutting. I barely make it. I don't even have time for my kids. And I don't want to cut my grandparents. I'm gonna be like, okay, I already provided all the hours that they gave me. If I really wanted to be a bitch, I'm sorry to say, but I would have told them, no, you know, they gave me 20 hours for you. I already provided my hours. I can't do the extra. So, me being a granddaughter, I don't care if they gave me the hours. I would still do the extra because they're my grandparents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next witness.
Thank you. Jim Lindberg on behalf of the Friends Committee on Legislation of California. We think that there is dignity in all work. that IHSS workers perform a very dignified service. They deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. It greatly concerns us that the cuts to the program since the Great Recession now threaten the integrity of the program. When we hear about IHSS workers having to get other jobs or take on other jobs in addition to the work they're doing, we disagree with the administration's short-sighted approach to this. I understand they're concerned about the growth of cost and so forth, but we do have an aging population, and an aging population naturally is going to require more services. And we think that the administration ought to be framing this in terms of how much money is IHSS saving us. This is a program that is emulated by other states and so forth. We strongly support restoring the 7% and overtime for IHSS workers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair and to the committee, Senators, thank you all for your services. I'm Ken Chambers from the SEIU ULTCW organizer of Alameda County. You've heard the requests, and I would just like to say in-home healthcare workers that are here do a labor of love. My dad was a World War II veteran. Passed about 15 years ago, but prior to his death, he had 7 years battle with Alzheimer. I saw my mom care for him around the clock. It was no breaks. His family gave breaks, and but we kept my dad at home, and he lived his last days as his best days in a house that he worked hard to buy. Programs like IHSS keep the quality of life for our elderly. Labor of love is going to continue. Please, please challenge the governor to do the right thing. Thank you all again for your service. Thank you for listening. And I just want to thank all of the folks that do a labor of love in this room today, because if it wasn't for IHSS workers that's doing the work that they're doing, we would be paying a lot more money. You guys have heard the numbers. And again, thank you for your listening.
Thank you very much. Next witness, please.
I'm humbling. Hi, my name is Katrina Bucco. Me and my brother Lotus lives in Delhi in Merced County. When our mom passed away in 2000, she asked us kids to make sure our brother don't go in home, and we promised her on her deathbed he wouldn't. For us, let me put it this way. I'm the youngest of 9. He's number 7. And he was hateful with me when I was kids. And I'm the one taking care of him. I am the one, he can't talk. I'm the one who knows what he's saying and everything. And if he goes in a home, it'll be over my dead body. Because he will kill himself in a home. I'm the one who cooks for him. I'm the one to make sure he eats his meds. I'm the one who cleans and fixes his CPAP machine. 24/7, I'm doing it. He would not be around other people, and this is good, because he would go crazy right now if he wasn't on meds. Little kids, he plays with them now. Dogs, we have 2 little dogs for good therapy for him. He gets and plays with them. He hugs them and everything. 10, 15 years past and everything, he would not have done it. I mean, because he was kind of hateful with little animals too, and everything. But he's like a 185 degrees turn and everything. Thank you, and please give our service back.
Thank you. Thank you for coming today. Appreciate it. Next witness, please. 2 minutes or less.
Hi, my name is Pablo Benavente, and I'll be translating for Joela.
Thank you.
Hola, mi nombre es Joela Trujillo, vengo del condado de Napa. Soy proveedor en casa, trabajo para mi hija. Por 7 años, dejé mi trabajo de 8 años para trabajar con mi hija.
Hello, my name is Joela Trujillo. I'm a provider for my daughter. I've been providing for 7 years now. She's 19 years old, too.
Y no es fácil. Necesita mi hija 24 horas de supervisión. Ella tiene retraso en aprendizaje, ella tiene diabetes, se complicaron muchas cosas y tengo yo que trabajar para ella y proveer mi trabajo para ella.
I'm taking care of her for 24 hours. She has special needs. She also has diabetes, and she cannot be by herself.
Por eso pido, por favor, no más recortes. Si no aprueban el overtime, pues devuelvan el 7% que nos quitaron porque lo necesitamos.
Please don't cut us. Give us our 7% back and our overtime. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Next witness, please.
Hello, my name is Lawanda Boateng, and I'm an SEIU UHW member and a 14-year-long home care worker. I am third generation of home care workers in California. I've seen many things that need support in this field of hard work. I just ask that the cuts stop and the change begin sooner than how, us, healthcare workers have been getting treated, unethically and unequally for the last 75 years. It's been a terrible struggle. And to not have raises and better access to full benefits, we need our governor, Mr. Brown, to sit down and think strongly about what pen he's going to use to sign the necessary documents to enact the promise that he gave us, because we are really, really strongly working hard and we're ready for this to happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. Next witness, please.
John Joseph again for AARP California. 3 million members and strong support of restoration from all the programs we've heard about today. Particularly interested, I get assigned here because of IHSS, and I'm a caregiver for my son who's 38. His name is Kirk. He's at a sheltered workshop today. I just want to point out he doesn't get that many services, but the 7% cut was significant to him. His life basically is without, he doesn't have the same supports that most folks do. Marriage, visits with relatives and so forth. He relies on services that he gets from city and county, which are programs for the disabled. As a developmentally disabled adult, I provide primarily transportation for him. He doesn't need support with bathing or any of the other support that all these folks have talked about for the really severely disabled. But he's starting to get older. As 38 Down syndrome folks tend to get about 20 years on them from other people. And he started to develop some mental issues that I'm not going to go into today. But I just wanted to state that, the support that he gets from IHSS is vital to him. All those programs that he gets are his life. And so, again, from AARP and the 3 million members, we're in strong support of restoration of all the funding, but particularly for that 7% cut. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Michael Young, California Labor Federation. I can't really add more than the home care workers, the providers, the consumers, and the advocates have already. I just want to stand here and show our strong support for the home care workers and their fight for dignity. I hope we can count on your support as we try and fight for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Final witness.
PYWD, California Partnership Health and Human Services Network. Just thanks for the space and the leadership here. Strongly encourage this committee to follow what the Assembly Health and Human Services Budget Committee did and pass restoration of the 7% cut not tied to the tax, regardless of the tax, and reinstate the overtime hours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Rosalia Rodriguez. I've been an in-home caregiver for 17 years. I've lost most of my clients. Right now, I don't have any, but I've been in the union for the last 4 years, and I have seen nothing but cuts to IHSS, and we got so bad to the point to where we were the bottom of the barrel. A lot of people saw us like we weren't nothing, even though we were working and getting our paycheck just like anybody else. And this has been year after year after year. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted to stop in-home care totally. So now I am pleading that please, for us to get the 7% back, and also for the overtime for these people. I'm not for myself, but the people that have already started buying homes, buying cars, and everything else. Where are they going to end up if all this cutting keeps up? And I ask you, thank you very much, Mrs. Mitchell, for your time and the rest of your colleagues. And I thank you also for being so patient with all of us, because there was a lot of us here.
Well, we thank you for coming and representing really all of California and sharing your perspective. So thank you for coming today.
Thank you very much. You have a nice day.
You too. Mr. Savinka, you wanted to respond to some aspects of public comment?
Madam Chair, I just wanted to make sure it was on the record because some of the testifiers seemed unclear. The administration fully understands the importance of the IHSS program because it represents the ability of so many people to stay at home. And just to make it clear again, as the second to last speaker alluded to, the administration has proposed to restore the 7% reduction. It's funded by a proposed managed care organization tax rather than straight out of the state general fund. But nevertheless, fulfilling the commitment to restore that reduction. So I just wanted to make it clear for those on the record who may not have been aware, the proposal from the administration is to restore the 7%. Thank you.
Senator Monty.
Thank you. Thank you for affirming that. You led off with that, and I think it's good to close with that clear and explicit commitment of the administration. Question for the department or Department of Finance. And maybe I missed this earlier, but a number of witnesses made reference to our investment in the IHSS actually saves the state money by keeping people in homes and out of care facilities. Does either department or finance have any rough calculation of how much that is saving the state if we didn't have this program, how much more we'd be spending on care facility placement?
Even in the years of some of the horrendous budget reduction proposals that we've had to make, there hasn't really been a good, solid, acceptable way of calculating what you're referring to. But I don't think anybody would argue that every single person on the IHSS program would be in an institution absent IHSS. But for those who would be, I think the reference to the savings generally comes from the figures. It's slightly over $14,000 a year to take care of an IHSS recipient on average, and the nursing home cost is something above $60,000 per year. So when they talk about the cost avoidance that IHSS provides, that's generally what you refer to. But there isn't a generally accepted methodology for guesstimating what percentage of the IHSS caseload would actually be institutionalized absent IHSS.
Right, and that is helpful, and I do appreciate it wouldn't be 100% of IHSS caseload, but just given that difference in cost gives us at least something to do some estimates of, even if you took a very conservative estimate of a third of IHSS recipients requiring that full-time care. Clearly, when we look at this in economic terms, the state of California has been innovative in the establishment of IHSS. It has saved taxpayers millions, if not billions of dollars with this more economical approach. But the savings should not be on the backs of care providers who are providing critical service often and usually at minimum wage. So again, I think we need in our dialogues to be mindful of that savings to taxpayers that is achieved through the IHSS program, but the savings should not be on the backs of people who deserve a living wage, and I'll just leave it at that. You get my point, but thank you for providing at least that framework of difference. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and it's a similar question, Senator Monty, we asked together on a committee several years ago when we were looking at the elimination of adult day health, and a number of programs where we were concerned that we were attempting to score savings in one area, but not recognizing the uptick in cost in another area when people would have no other choice but to transition to a much higher cost of care in another area of the budget. So thank you. All right, we are now ready to move on to budget change proposal number 1 under IHSS, the CMIPS 2 and overtime implementation of FLSA, and we're on page 15 of the agenda. We're making slow but sure progress.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 8 positions requested. 4 of them are for the Fair Labor Standards Act activities and works that are associated with that. 4 of them are on an extension of activities related to our IHSS CMIPS 2 system. The two of the positions out of the 8 are attorneys. 6 of them are within my division to actually implement the changes and to work on the multitude of areas. We have a backlog on our CMIPS 2 activities, and these positions continuing forward would assist us in continuing to work on the backlog of activities that have to be conducted, as well as some of the increases to workload that were unanticipated. We're implementing a large blind and visually impaired activities in the next 6 to 9 months, and we had not requested positions on that as well. So there's a lot of activity going on, and we're asking to keep these moving, especially FLSA through May revised till we get further clarification.
Can you go down the list of questions for me on page 16 of the agenda and respond, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Regarding question 1, the uncertainty with the federal appeals process, and our position on it is that because things are unknown to us at the moment, that we think that this should be continued into May revise. So these BCPs continue forward. Again, on question 2, are these CMIPS 2 4 positions currently filled? They are. These would be extending the existing staff who are working on those activities. As regards to question 3, are the positions fully dedicated to FLSA, or are they also working on other issues such as the minimum wage increase, recipient service hour adjustments, CCI-related activities? I throw in blind and visually impaired. We have a whole slew of activities that staff are participating on. They're not working solely on FLSA. Obviously, we halted activities, but if anything changes in the future and we move forward, we still have a significant amount of work that has to be done. You're asking for an update on the existing backlog. We had shared this with the committee. I'm happy to go through this if you want that kind of detail.
You need it again? That'll be fine.
Okay. And then finally, you're asking about a special transaction and the average length of time that a special transaction takes. They average roughly 14 days, and a special transaction is basically an activity that only the state can perform, and it involves sort of the complex issues when you have to go back in retro. So if you have to go back in time and recreate issues, in order to do those activities, the state has to do it, and we have to issue the payment. Another example might be the court. Court issues something retroactive back 2 years, reinstating costs. All those are special transactions.
Okay, great. Finance, LAO, any comment on this section?
Madam Chair and members, nothing really further to add, just would concur with the department. It certainly would be appropriate to carry this issue over to May revision when we'll know more about the status of the federal court case.
Excellent, and we will do just that. We'll hold it open.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to CalWorks. Going to make our big transition, if you will, out of SSI, SSP, and IHSS to the CalWorks program. Welcome, Mr. Bland. We're going to start with an overview of the department and move into our oversight role and talk about, welfare to work, proposals for investment, maximum family grant, housing support, and additional proposals that have been brought forward to us by advocates. So with that, Mr. Bland, we're ready for your overview of the CalWorks program.
Thank you, Senator Mitchell. Nice to see you, and Senator Monning. CalWorks is our version of the federal TANF program, and I think your agenda, the staff agenda that you have before you, does a very good job explaining it. I'll just touch on a few major points in the overview. I do have, and I think the sergeant has circulated a handout. Occasionally, I'll point to some pages in there, but generally, I'm just going to give you a quick overview. I know it's been a long hearing, and there are more witnesses waiting to testify. CalWorks grants, basically, CalWorks is our program of income maintenance and welfare to work services for low-income families. The grants depend on family size and on income, and there is a 4.9% regional adjustment for the grants depending on the county you reside in. The average grant for all families in the current year is about $491, reflecting all of those different factors. And the maximum grant for a family of 3 will increase to $704 per month next month in the higher cost counties on April 1st. Looking back over the program over the last several years from an overview perspective, there were decreases in grants in 2009 and 2011. There have been some increases recently, but grants today are still below the levels they were in 2008-9. Page 3 of my handout has some of that historical information in it for you. The caseload itself, in terms of caseload trends, is somewhat cyclical. I think was more so back in the 90s, more responsive to essentially economic conditions. There was a huge run-up in the caseload in the early 90s. Then as the economy recovered in the late 90s, it fell dramatically. In the 2000s, a little less so. During the earlier recession, in the early 00s, it did increase some, but not much, not nearly as much as previously. In the Great Recession that was in 2008, it did see, once again, a fairly substantial increase. It did peak in June of 2011 and has been declining since. Just for a moment, I'd like to touch on the federal context and the federal background of the program. While work participation rate is by no means the measure that we want to measure the program by, we believe that how the program helps clients and moves towards self-sufficiency, whatever they need, or increase their income or increase their skills, that's how the program would be better measured. But nonetheless, the federal government ties us to work participation, which is essentially all about doing certain federal core and non-core activities for a certain specified number of hours. And there are penalties for not meeting that. As you're aware, we are in penalty status for 2008, 9, and 10. We have been working with we have corrective compliance plans in place, and we are working diligently with our counties to try to get over that 50% threshold, and we have made some changes to the program. And on pages 10 and 11, there's some more information about that. I just want to be clear that if they judged us today, have we hit the 50? The answer would be no. But we believe we have things in place to hopefully get us there, but it's a really close call. And it's just another workload and things that the counties need to do and that we all need to do. Again, even though I would say it's not the best measure and the administration does not believe it's the best measure.
I would agree with you that it's not the best measure. And if I were a betting woman, Mr. Bland, I don't know that we're going to be penalized. Our California congressional delegation is too large to let that happen to us. As the kids say, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm
hoping we cross the 50% threshold and don't have to find out. And if we do have to find out, I hope you are correct, but I do not know. I think later in your agenda, I was going to talk a little bit about SB 1041, but I think you have some more specific questions on that a little later. And given the lateness of the hour, I won't do that at this point. I will mention in terms of, again, what's gone on in the program over the years. Following 1041, which we're going to talk about later, came the AB 74 changes that we're very excited about. That's the family stabilization, expanded subsidized employment, and the online CalWorks appraisal tool, which, although that has been slower to come up than we wanted, we've worked in great partnership with advocates, with legislative staff, with the counties to really do that the right way. And we believe the training for that is going to begin at the county level in April, May, and June. We'll have the training. figure 90 days later, counties should be able to bring it up. We're hopeful the program will be up by September, virtually statewide. Finally, I'll just add in terms of longer trends or policy changes, as the questions asked for, the ban on drug felons is another policy change that was enacted recently, and that will change again next week with the coming of April 1st. That's a brief overview of the program. I think you have questions later that'll dive into more depth.
And I